and the barren Galician countryside, a patch of ground with forests, meadows, fields. A river flowed there too, flowed on slowly, dreamily, babbling with gentle, even waves. The river was lined with willow trees, and the wind swayed the landscape on all sides. Exotic trees, which came from a distant land, also grew in this peaceful countryside, yet they too were rooted in this soil. But then, a foreign people descended upon this peaceful countryside. They strongly disliked these exotic strangers and decided to destroy them. They cut down the trees. The trees lay strewn upon the ground. Their sap ran out and seeped into the ground. They raised their branches toward heaven in a final prayer to Almighty God. God saw this distraction and wept at the great injustice. He then lifted the trees up to him in heaven and planted them in paradise, so they might beautify it with their exotic being. Among these felled trees there was a twig which became unruly and did not wish to submit to this distraction. He broke off from his trunk and set out upon his way. The twig was helpless and all alone. He trembled. He knew he was of exotic parentage, and so he had the idea of taking on another form. Lo and behold, he became a girl. She knew she was of exotic parentage, and so she adapted all the qualities of the other kind of people, and no one had the slightest inkling of where she came from. Are you comfortable? You are? Good. I'm asking because it's a long story. My husband always used to say, Eva, you never stop. With you around, I don't need a radio, a TV set. You are a regular home entertainment center. Well, excuse me if my thoughts wander off. I mean the subject. It's a habit of mine. My husband always used to say, Eva, your thoughts are wander off again. But you know, there are people what got so much inside them. No wonder they explode. Table with white tablecloth, long benches, on the benches, the Hasidim Baroque armchair, within it the rabbi, sable hat, satin kaftan, oh, that was so shame, so elegant. You know what I mean? I mean the kind of the robe. It was like the Pope wears. Yeah, where I come from, the rabbi wears one, a real expensive one. And on the table, mottled redhead with his violin, and he plays. He plays. Mozart. Violin concerto in G major. The cadences, the solo. Why should I know the Köchel number? In front of the house, a 14-year-old girl, patent leather shoes, sailor suit, hair combed smooth. You know, I was a pretty mature child, but naive. Oh, I
was so naive. And I stand and I listen, and I can't take off my eyes from the fiddler. They applaud, but there are only men. It's all taking place at the rabbi's. No women allowed there, no girl either. Well then, Mottel Redhead. Mottel Redhead is a red-headed man. Huh? I know. He isn't very shame. He had one of those red goatees, a thin one, and red payers. You ever heard about red payers? And when he played the fiddle, he stood leaning forward like this, so he pulled with the bow. He was so thin. But his eyes, I like you so much, you and your violin. But you are still a child. I'm not a child anymore. But you are still so young. Oh, what's the matter? I'll work hard. I don't need much. I'll work and make a money. All you gotta do is to play your fiddle and I'll kiss you. Your hands. Mottel Redhead reaches with his hand. He quickly pulled it back because we weren't permitted to talk to each other or to touch each other. I wasn't allowed to talk to him. He wasn't allowed to talk to me. It was forbidden. We were brought up that way. To tell the truth, I would have liked to marry him. Didn't happen because there was this war. The last thing he said to me was, Mädel, it's not right from you to cry. Far away in Russia, along the river Neva, there was Mottel's home. I looked into his eyes and told him, I'm your Eva. Don't leave me here alone. Not born to paddle, so right from the start, he played his fiddle with all of his heart. And if one of the neighbors got married, the first one they thought of was him. He was just a Russian needle playing his fiddle with all his heart for a stickel bright. His all and one had been his His only joy was little Eva's shining eyes and cheeks so royal. Far away in Russia, along the river Neva, they started a pogrom. Mottel took his fiddle, he thought about his Eva, and ran away from home. Days and weeks, no Geld, no Bräut, 'cause Städtel and Städtel had been destroyed. He couldn't survive all of that. Love ended before it began. He was just a Russian needle playing his fiddle with all his heart for a stickel bright. His all and one had been
was little Eva's shining eyes and cheeks so white. When the war broke out, I was 15. Yeah. No, by the time I was 17, I was in a pretty bad shape. First, I was born in Poland, and you heard about this Hitler there, and I already started reading the papers when I was 12. Yeah, I was always interested in politics, and a rumor went around the Jews should go to Madagascar. Watch them in 2 feet. No, with 100 I couldn't have been fast enough to get to these Madagascar. No, everywhere hell. So it was far, far from here. You see, you couldn't go to Israel, Palestine back then. No, figure it out, a family with 6, 7 kids. They got no geld. Huh? I know. Rich Jews stay too. If you're asking me, they were a bissel meshuge. Now take my mama. She was already in the First World War. She was born Austria-Hungary. You know the dual monarchies. No, the father, grandfather, Tata, Zayde, all of them monarchists. No, the emperor was half a god to them. And once my mama told me the German soldiers back then came to this area and they chased out the Russians, how they called it, they pushed them back. And these German soldiers were such fine and decent people in the First World War. No, so they marched in one fine day, these Germans, and I got to tell you my feeling about this Hitler. He will kill all of us. You know, I'm sensitive. I catch things in the air, pick them up, so to say. I didn't like the way this man looked. He looked like a crazy man, like a maniac. I see the German soldiers, and they call to the Jews. I scream, Mama! Mama! These are decent people, and of all the houses, they have to come to ours, and they took scissors, and they cut off the beards of the Jews, and all the slaps so hard, so walk here and walk there. One of them's teeth flew out of his mouth. They let him off, and then we heard shots over us in the landlord's apartment. The landlord sat there. He was such a fine, old, big-covered gentleman. The German came in, took out his pistol, and shot him dead. German didn't want nothing from him. No Geld, no gold. He wanted to kill. The other Jews, they left behind with teeth knocked out, black eyes. They were shopkeepers, craftsmen. I knew all of them. I was such an open child. I wanted, excuse me if my thoughts wandered off again, but I wanted to continue school. And my teacher already persuaded my mama. And my mama already started getting things ready with relatives in another town to have me come live there, because I have to go to school there. Yeah. That's the kind of child I was. I knew everybody, but I didn't talk to everybody. Huh? Oh, not a word to a man. We wore stockings in the middle of the summer, dress buttoned up to here. No matter how hot it was, no girl was allowed out without stockings. Huh? Oh, my thoughts wandered off again. Excuse me. Where was I? Yeah,
German invasion, I gotta tell you. They were tanks, cars, kitchen, the works, and then came the Russians. To tell the truth, my mama didn't like the Russians all that much, but I gotta tell you, they were pretty decent. Some of them. Tja. And then they come and cut up Poland. Mr. Stalin, Mr. Hitler, half for you, half for me. And when we heard the Russians were going to go, no, we dropped everything. No, we rent a cart with 2 horses, loaded the whole family on it with the little kids on the top, and off, davai, davai, across the demarcation line. And so we came to Brzeżany, more than 120 kilometers away, I gotta tell you. We were so tired, we fall to the ground, we slept like dead people. We got up in the morning, we were robbed. They took everything could get their hands on, stolen everything they could carry off. These Russian bandits. I got to tell you, Mama was right again. Eva, I said to myself, you better go and look for a job. No, so I put on the last things I had left to wear. So modestly I dressed. Huh? No, not threadbare. No, it was all good quality. Dress stitched by a dressmaker, shoes by a shoemaker. Really held up good. And dressed like this, I go on the street, and like this, I go through the town, and I take a look at this Brzeżany. Did I feel lost? But I said to myself, Eva, don't give up. Havle, find yourself a job. And so I talk to a man. I beg your pardon, sir, but is here maybe somewhere an employment office? Of course, miss, just walk all along down the street, across a little bridge, the big building on the right side. That's the employment office. Oh, thank you very much. Was that a long walk? No, I come to a villa, wonderful location in the middle of a big park, and I go inside 'em. Suddenly comes up a man. What are you looking for? Oh, I am looking for a job. How do you get in here? No, through the door. I wasn't at the employment office. I was at the Russian police headquarters. Don't ask me where the guard was when I walked in. When I walked out, he stood there. No, this man led me to a conference room. I gotta tell you, so elegant. Carpets, fauteuils, parquet floor. God knows where they seized all that. School diplomas? Oh, take your choice. What do you want? A job. Please, a job. You see, we came here. We are starving. A job maybe as a sales girl. All right. Here's an address. Go tomorrow, 7 Tchaikovsky Street, and report to the official there. Thank you very much. No, next morning I was met by a secretary. Let's call him a secretary, but he was a lawyer too. Dr. Babiak was his name, yeah. No, and since I talk like I do, he says, aha, you come from Poland. Yeah, that's right, Pan Doctor. I can hear from the musical lilt in your voice. Really? Oh, I can't help it, Pan Doctor. Maybe he liked me a bit. Excuse me if my thoughts wander off again, but God gave me so much. Shame I wasn't, for sure. But I had something about me people liked. And also I was brought up very polite and modest. Didn't talk as much as now. Suddenly opens the door, and a gentleman stood there. What do you want?
Oh, please take me to the director. What do you want? Please take me to the director. What do you want from the director? Please take me to the director, then I tell the director what I want from the director. I am the director. Oh, yeah, he was the director. Didn't look like a director. He looked like a waiter. Now, can I help it? Many directors look like waiters. We have a grocery store there. I'm going to assign you to it. Do you know how to get there? Oh, Pan Director, how should I know? I am not from here. All right, I'll come along. Yeah, and the director comes along with me to the grocery store. And there was this man there, and the director says, Mr. Pindek. Nothing. He only says, Pindek, I bring you a new assistant. Do you have a white apron? Oh, Pan Director, how should I have a white apron? I'm not from here. All right, give her a white apron. Let her work behind the counter. She is a perfect sales girl. And that's how I became a sales girl. 'Cause the wheel is turning, it's turning from good luck to bad. Aye, the wheel is turning, it's turning from good luck to bad. Tell me where is a bissele Masse? Tell me where is a bissele Glück? Tell me where is some hope for the future, for a girl who just wants to survive. The world is, all created, equal for great or small. Tell me where is a bissele Hochas, a bissele, tell me where is a bissele Glück. Tell me where is a bissele Hochas, a bissele, tell me where is a bissele Glück. And then I had to go to a health checkup. And there I got immunizations and all that kind of thing you need for groceries. And I also had to go to a gynecological examination. That's true. To me, it made no sense. Now, we already learned that in school, but it all went by so fast, and Mama didn't tell us nothing about these things. No, I come to this gynecological, and he says, spread your legs. I was so ashamed. Sorry to say, but Mama did wrong not to prepare me for this. Come on, cut the fuss. What you gonna do? And then there was such a laughter in this room because there was a lot of young medical assistants, and when I came back to the grocery store, they laughed there too, and I didn't know why. It's over. It's not forgotten, but it's over. The Russians ordered everybody has to go to this kind of demonstrations, meetings. What you gonna do? The Russians order, you go. There was this Russian there who spoke, I didn't understand much, but one thing I picked up. Imi jeszcze pójdziemy Berlinie. Moment, I said to myself, moment, Eva, what means we will get to Berlin? There's no war here in Brzezany. How can we get to Berlin? No, the very next day all hell broke loose. The planes flew, the Russian shot, the German shot. And then the Germans took this Brzezany. Of course, the very next day they ordered everybody has to go to forced labor. If you don't go, death penalty. What you gonna do? The German order, you go. They took us to some kind of building. Can't remember for the life of me where. Doesn't matter, it wasn't my town. And there we have to clean up rubbish and pieces of glass after bombing. Now, after a while I had enough of this and I said to myself, Eva, know what? you go home. And then I sneaked out of there, and I ran. All of a sudden, I hear such an awful screaming, and I see a pogrom. I see men running after women, Jewish women with children, the children held tied of the skirts of their mothers, and with stakes, with perfectly ordinary stakes. These men hit these women, hit them blindly till they were dead. And if one got up again, she got hit again. And it was a screaming and a crying. And then they ran into the Jewish quarter, and everybody could get their hands on. They beat to death, and others they dragged to the Jewish cemetery, and there they buried them alive. It wasn't the Germans or Austrians who did that. That was the Ruthenians, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, Roman Catholics. They beat to death the Jews, Christian people. And there was a Yiddish maid. I happen to know her. She was a merchant's daughter. And under the murderers, there was a Christian who was a close friend to the Mädeles Tate. And he saw the Mädele. And she was already half in the grave. And he stretched out his hand and grabbed the Mädele by the arm and pulled her out of there and pushed her far, far away. You see? God always makes sure there is one left to tell what happened. Mama! I ran. I spot a building. I run inside them. I think I'm gonna hide here. Who is marching in? Dr. Papiak. With a swastika? I thought I got a club on my cob. Dr. Papiak, who was so kind, as I wanted to be a salesgirl. He was mayor now that the Germans came, and he was the one who started the pogrom. And course, people don't start that kind of thing. For that you needed brains. Tell me, Pan Doctor, can't you see what's going on in the streets? To me, he says, that won't last long. Stay where you are, don't move from this spot, and wait until I come up here to tell you you can come down again. No, after a while he comes back and says, no one will bother you now. You can go home. Here's my address. Come tomorrow morning to me and my wife in our apartment. You can help out a little. So many our important things have been destroyed by the war. Next morning, I went to this Dr. Babiak. And I got to tell you, it was a very well-off family, and I wasn't brought up to do housework. Back home, I did it as much as wash a handkerchief. No, we'd had servants after all. I couldn't even make gravy. And now I'm in a household of a mayor. No, the lady of the house taught me a lot, and I guess she was pretty happy with me, 'cause she gave me food, too. And that was the first time in my life I started eating something not kosher. Didn't like the taste at all. And one day she comes and says, do you want to take the meat left over from lunch home with you? No, thank you very much, but, beg your pardon, madam, do you maybe have something my mama can cook herself? And then she gave me green beans and peas and rice and grits and all that kind of thing, because normal people, they had ration cards. Huh? No, not the Jews. They had nothing. No, they didn't even have a piece of bread. And they starved. No, many starved to death. Oh, can you imagine how happy they were when I came home with this bissel of food? Oh, Mama. Oh, Mama prepared it so good. Oh, it tastes so good. And I satisfied their hunger. A little. But sorry to say, I couldn't stay with this Dr. Babiak, because they ordered these Nürnberger laws for the Ukraine too. Every Jew has to wear a yellow star, and a girl with a yellow star in a mayor's house, so they told me everything. Then I found work together with my brother Aaron in the Golden Restaurant. But in the restaurant they told me, you can't work with a yellow star in a restaurant. Not to wear the star was death penalty, I think to myself. Death penalty, death schmenalty. And I stick my star in the pocket. And to Aaron I said, Aaron, come here, my child. Come. Take off the yarmulke, the little cap. The kid had such a beautiful blonde hair. And that's how we helped out there, just for a little to eat. And the parents and the other brothers, they were resettled, that's how they called it, resettled to Naria. One fine day, my smallest brother Eliezer showed up. Eli, Gott der Gerechte, what happened? Tate is dead, starved to death. Yeah, Golden Restaurant. I gotta tell you, there was a German customer, and he must have been a criminal in Germany too. He was so short, and he had such a blonde mop of hair, and he always walked in stocky like this in that place, and they said, he's one who sat at the mass grave with a machine gun. And he bragged about it too when he was drunk. Oh, he got so drunk in that place where I worked, he couldn't even stand up on his feet. One time, walking on the street, he shot a Jewish doctor. Dr. Falk was his name. As he walked by, shot him down just like that. Bah! Yeah, he would have shot down everybody. You too. How so clearly I remember this beast. He was such a night. I can't. And then we had a cook. And this cook was a Ruthenian, a Greek Orthodox Christian, and a fanatic anti-communist, and a big supporter of the Germans. And this cook took every day the very best of everything from the kitchen and took it home with him. So what you gonna do? A cook. And every day at 11 o'clock when he was done cooking lunch, he went to the toilet. Every day, 11 on the dot. And then he came back and dished out the servings without washing his hands. A cook. And then he took out such a big newspaper, and every day he checked up to see how far the Germans advanced. And then he said, ha, 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 the Germans are already in front of Moscow. Oh, no, pretty soon they will be there, and then they will rap out the communists. And so he checked up every day in the newspaper. Yeah, and once this beast, the one with the mop of hair, he staggered in, drunk as a skunk, into our kitchen. And we had a real big window there to hand through the food, you know what I mean. And over the window, there was a big picture, a holy picture of Holy Mary, all over covered with glass. You know these beautiful pictures, the Holy Mary, with baby Jesus. And on the top of her head is this shining something, this, a halo. A halo, yeah, beautiful picture. Because the cook was a very religious man. No, by accident, this beast spots Holy Mary. And he says, "What is that?" Not a sound. Nobody talked. After a while again, "What is that?" Nobody says a word. Nobody understood him. I understood. But I will be damned if I start a conversation with a beast. Again. "What is that?" Quiet. And then he took out his pistol and blazed away at Holy Mary. "That's all a pile of shit!" Ba, 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 and reeled out of the door. Oh, we got so scared. The cook turned all white like his apron, and his body shook all over like this. This excuse of a man. No, I didn't shake, no. I'm always very strangers in frightening situations. No, he shook, this excuse of a man. He even got sick. He was out sick for 3 or 4 weeks. But I got to tell you, when he came back, he was another person. He stopped every day checking up in the newspapers how far the Germans advanced. He didn't want any more for the Germans to rap out the communists. He saw the Germans don't only shoot Jews, they shoot Holy Mary too. All of a sudden we got a bissel more to eat. That's because of Holy Mary. That poor Jews got a bissel more to eat. You see, so everything makes sense somehow. Holy Mary, Miriam was her name. She was merciful. She knew that the Jews couldn't help what happened to her son 2,000 years ago. She too was just a Yiddish mom. L'chaim, Holy Miriam. But sorry to say, Holy Miriam didn't help. Just in opposite. To make things easier for the Germans with the Jews, the Germans set up a Jewish council. They took certain Jews and then they put into special offices. And there they coordinated the deportations. Yeah, it was such a kind of Jewish police. Yeah, they had an armband too, which said Jewish Council and a star. Yeah, Mr. Important, with armband and star. And they had a good club too. They thought they could save themselves that way. After they finished deporting the last of the other Jews, the SS opened the last car and said, "Yazda, panie, let's get going, gentlemen."
in case one of these Jewish policemen survived this Auschwitz or Treblinka, they must have such an awful lot of guilt on their conscience. They were such Schweine! Yom Kippur, the highest holy day. Word leaks out. A deportation is come. Oh, Gott der Gerechte, where are we gonna hide? Aaron shows me such a pile of stones in the basement so we can crawl in there. Yeah, good. And who will cover us up? Huh? You couldn't trust a single living soul? I racked my brains the whole night. Suddenly, I remember the outhouses in the courtyard. There were 2 outhouses, latrines, but only one you could use. The other one had such a boarded up door. Now, I first opened the door, a hole, without a seat. Because normally a latrine has something else like a toilet seat too. Aaron, Eli, come. And we decide we're gonna hide in the shit, in the hole. And then we take a stick. A broomstick must be real strong. And like this, we jam the door from the inside. Because if I could have broke open the door, everybody else could too. And then we heard these certain footsteps. And the SS yelling and screaming, "Where are Jews here? Out with all the Jews! Where are the Jews?" And then an SS kicked with his boot into our door. We hold up. Hold up. Again. Hold up. And he spits and says, "Scheiße," and goes away. And it was quiet. But this latrine, it had something wrong with it. And this something wrong was what did us in. It had 4 walls already, but no top, no, no ceiling. No, we stood there hours and hours. Suddenly we heard somebody's going to the toilet next door. He goes onto the seat and looks toward us. He sees me, I see him, nobody says a word. He goes away. It was the handyman, a Christian. Oh, pretty soon he comes back with other Poles and they yell, "Get going away with these Jews. We are going to report all of you to the Gestapo." I say, "All right. Come on, Aaron, Eli. Let's get out of the hole, Kinderlach." Oh, we were so dirty. We stunk so much. And these Poles yell, "God damn you stinking Jews." I can't remember how we spent the night. But in the morning I say to Aaron, I don't know, I feel so worried. Are you gonna walk to Nareov to have a look, to see how Mama is doing? No, that evening I arrived there. No one. Nowhere.
Only a woman stuck her head out of the door. Where is my mama? They took her away, your mother. Mama didn't want to hide. And I stood there, silent, like I was nailed on a spot. I watch the way you bless the lights on Shabbos, and simple redness comes into your face. I still know every word, every simple word of how you bless the light. Mama, Mama, with love I call you always my dear Mama. Tired eyes, tired hands, but young your heart of gold, whichever understands. Of course I know you always wear my comfort when I would come to you, tears in my eyes. So warm and snugged you hugged me, and you smiled at me. One caress, the distress was all gone. Mama, Mama, with love I call you always my dear Mama. Mama, Mama, may the Lord protect you, my Mama. A little later they took away my smallest brother Eliezer. The Jewish police. Yeah, they discovered this hole in the golden restaurant where we lived, and they dragged away my darling little boy. I say to Aaron, let's leave. Let's go far away from this Brezhany to some place or other, to a village with a train station, and we'll go to a city. And we were lucky. We made it. And so we ended up in Krakow. Oh, I gotta tell you, so overcrowded was this train station. And I say to Aaron, stay where you are and don't move from this spot. I have to go to the toilet real bad. I come back. Can't find my brother. I ask a few people waiting for the train, something happened here? Yeah, there was a raid. They took people away, probably Jews without papers. My whole family was gone. Nothing was left of them. Not even a picture. I have to gotta get ready for the performance. I get rid of this beast. So, and you are the first one.
Oh, excuse me if my thoughts wander off again, but Krakow, I raked my brains. How am I gonna get forged papers? I spot a girl. I go up and talk to her. I know she is Jewish. You know, I'm sensitive. I catch things in the air, pick them up, so to say. No, she almost fainted that I know that she is. She didn't look Jewish at all. Clara was her name, like her forged papers. Her real name, I don't know. Clara, don't be afraid. I'm not a police informer. I have Zorros myself. And this Clara took me to a certain Drogobycz in Przeworsk. Yeah, and it had a group of people there, a group, yeah, underground people, yeah, 120 zloty forged papers got there. How am I gonna get 120 zloty? Mr. Drogobycz, I beg you, give me the paper so I can find a job. I swear to you, I bring you the money week for week, zloty on zloty. He gave it to me. He trusted me. Anna Roman was my new name. And with this forged papers, I went to the center of Krakow, and I go up to a lady. I beg your pardon, madam, but do you maybe know where I can find a job? And she says, yeah, here's the telephone number. Oh, and that's how I ended up with a married couple. Oh, did I do all right there? He was an engineer from Berlin, and he played so beautifully violin. You know, I like this kind of thing. And she was from Vienna, and we had a dog too. Asta, such a good dog. I always brushed her. We went for walks together. All I had to do was, and Asta was at my feet. The dog was my only friend. And such a magnificent Christmas tree these two people set up. I wasn't allowed to enter the room the whole day after they had decorated the tree. And then they stood there and sang. How was it like? Maria durch den Dornwald, something like that. I didn't know anything about these things, but I got to tell you, tears ran down my cheek. And then the engineer opened a bottle, and there was a champagne in it, and if you please, they offered me some too. And when I had my birthday, the engineer came and says, Annie, today's your birthday. Here's a present for you. Where other Germans said to their servants, Polish dogs, I got a present. Human beings. She liked to drink a bissel. Well, why not? Makes sense. She came from Vienna. If she was chicker, she was in a good mood. But once she called me, Annie, Jesus, Maria, and Joseph, I gotta throw up. I also ate in this restaurant where they served human flesh. What happened? Poles and Germans caught girls and women. They kept them in a basement. There, they gave them a club on the cob, and then they cut them up, cut them in two pieces, and put them through a meat grinder. So strapping young women, Christian women,
no Jews in that bunch. The Jews were all... No. And then they sold these human flesh to restaurants. No, I got to tell you, it was such a scandal. All newspapers full of human flesh. No, the Poles were shot right away. The Germans were sent to the Eastern Front as punishment. Oh no, I don't make up a thing. Oh, please, please, you have to believe me. Every word I'm telling you, it's the whole truth. You see what all can happen in a war. Oh, excuse me if my thoughts wander off again, but I also knew a Sosha, and she was an excellent cook, that one. And you know, I wasn't brought up to do housework. No, what did I do? I made to Sosha a telephone call, and she gave to me the recipe over the telephone, and I got to tell you, the food was... Mwah. But once, it was Sosha who called me up, and she says, Annie, leave everything where it is, run away, they've blown the whistle on us. Oh, Gotte gerecht, where should I go? I'm all alone. I think to myself, I run over to Sosha's and we flee together. No, I come to her house. She opens the door and such a scream she makes. Annie, Gotte gerechte, Farvus, you come here. Die Gestapo gonna be here any minute. Sosha, come on. Take your money, take your papers. We flee together. Come on. I can't speak Polish. I look so Yiddish. Everywhere they will recognize me. Are you crazy? Do you have a club? I'm cop. I'll talk for both of us. I look for a job for both of us. Now take your money and come along. I can't. No, just as I'm ready to calm her down, the doorbell rings. Sosha goes to open up and I hear only one word. Gestapo! I want to jump right out of the window. Can't do it. Bars on the window. It was the first floor. No, I'm in a good schlamassel. Outside, I hear the SS walking away at Sosha's. That's how they always started. Aha, a Jew with forged papers. Brag. And I think to myself, I go a bit behind the door. Maybe they walk by. But I had bad luck. A Gestapak comes up. Yeah, exactly like this he looked to me. But I got to tell you, I stood up straight, head up high, 'cause you mustn't show you are afraid in this kind of situations. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm visiting someone. Papers? Here are my papers, if you please. Work permit? And here is my work permit, if you please. Nationality? Polish. Religion? Roman Catholic. Look, and there was the rub. The Jews who weren't in on things, they always got a mixed up faith and nationality and religion. They talked such a mishmash. I know, not the ones who were educated, but all education didn't do you no good if you look Jewish or talk like a Jew. I didn't have either one or the other. How do you met this woman? She's a Jew. Oh, I met her when I was shopping at the market. I didn't know she's Jewish. She didn't look Jewish to me. That all happened very fast, but I was so alert. My nerves were so taut. Inside, the SS made Sosha pack their things, and her teeth chattered so loud you could hear it from where I was. Huh? No, not me. No, I didn't chatter. The SS didn't hear that from me, that I chattered my teeth even once. All of a sudden, this Gestapak
turned his back to me. He wanted to see what she is packing.
Stealing. That's what he wanted to do.
No, that's all I needed. I tiptoe to this apartment door. It had a knob, not a door handle. Turned the knob without making a sound, out through the door, didn't close the door, just pushed it up against the frame, and then I ran, zigzag style, like a weasel, from one courtyard to the next, like a stag running for its life. I felt the SS at my heels. I spot a high. I take a flying leap. Eva, go! And I fall into a hole. But Gott der Gerechte filled the hole with snow. Else I had broken my neck. It was very cold, and the snow streamed over me so much I was steaming. I was so bloody. Eva, keep going. With bloody knees, dress turned to shreds. Eva, keep going. Without papers. Havele, go. Oh, I raked my brains. How am I gonna get new papers? Krebik in Przeworsk. Yeah, I'll go to Przeworsk. Krebik will make me new papers. He's a Christian, but a big friend of the Jews. No, as I'm walking to Przeworsk, I passed by a lot of booths. In one of them you could buy rosaries and prayer books and all that kind of holy things. And God gave me the idea, and I buy me a prayer book and a rosary. And in the next booth, I buy such a plain woven basket, the kind the Christian Polish farm girls carry. And there I was, with a basket, a prayer book, and a rosary. And I got to tell you, I felt a little better. But sorry to say, Grebik couldn't help anymore. Things got too hot for him, and I had to get out of this Przeworsk real quick. And again I walked. In a village, a woman let me sleep on straw. And in the morning she says to me, I need 10 zloty. 10 zloty? All right, I gave it to her. She gives the money to her little child and sent him with it to the priest. Mrs. Dombrowska kindly requests the certificate of baptism of her daughter. No, this child comes back with a piece of paper, and it says certificate of baptism of Josefa Dombrowska, born March the 2nd, 1907. Oh no, it's enough to drive you mad. Everybody can see I'm not born in 1907. Do you maybe have some ink? Now this woman had only a blue ink, but on the certificate was written with black ink. No, and I took a little swoot. I made such a mishmash, and then I drew a vedele under the zero. The only way to make a null into a 2. You don't believe it, huh? Nah. Have a look for yourself. It's the only thing I had left from this time. You can read in Polish? You can. I know. I'm a lousy forger. A blind man could see it's a fake.
Then I went on foot to Lublin, and there I took a ticket to Warsaw. Oh, this waiting room was so overcrowded. People, they jacked, they smoked, they slept. And I sat real quiet in a corner with a basket, the prayer book, and the rosary. Midnight. There doesn't come a train. These certain footsteps. Only one thought. How am I gonna get out of here? Too late. 3 men in uniform, 2 stands each side of the entrance. Papers? Nix understand. Then in Polish. Identity cards. No, I pull out Josefa Dąbrowska. Hey, the certificate is a forgery. And me in my best Polish? I beg your pardon, sir. The pan priest gave me this certificate himself. It's not my fault if there is something wrong with it. And he gives it back to me. Take it away. And already a guard comes and he's taking me away. That was such a nice young soldier with an especially kind face. And as we are walking, I say to him, you bring me to a camp, aren't you? What's that to you? My family is very worried about me. Let me go. Here. What? All of a sudden you can speak German? And then he took my head in both of his hands and turned it toward the moon. And it was such a shame moonlight night. You could see every star. And he started to kiss me. And kisses and kisses and kisses. Until he had enough. Well, honey, now you can run away, but make sure they don't catch you again, or I'm in for it. And I ran, but halfway where I was going to go, I slowed down, 'cause I couldn't realize that they could be such a kind man. And I ran back to him. Hello, hello. Who are you? And he laughed and says, I'm from Austria. Nothing else, he said. Only I'm from Austria. Walked. My shoes were already falling off my feet. I tied a piece of string around my ankles to hold them together. Water came in one side and went out the other. I come to a station with a train going to Warsaw. Oh, this train was overcrowded. You have to stand, so I stood and trembled. Is a guard gonna come? Is a guard not gonna come? Is a patrol gonna come? Is a patrol not? 2 men in uniform, one of them real tall, must have been over 6 feet. Identity cards? No, I pull out Josefa Dąbrowska. The tall one takes a quick look at my paper, a long look at my face. He gives it back to me. And then there was such a wink between the men, so. And they go on to the next car. Warsaw station, I tried to get out. The man in uniform won't let me go. He says he's taking me to a headquarters, but instead he took me to a shack. And there was a chair, a table, a hanger for the uniform, a mirror for shaving, and a bed. God, what kind of headquarters is that? The man in uniform went out of the door. Outside you could hear water splashing, and he whistled a tune.
And then opens the door, and in the door stands this tall soldier, the one over 6 feet tall, and he had nothing else on, only such a small mouse grey underwear, and you could see something there too. He had singled me out. First, he wanted to treat me nice, but I didn't want to go near him. Oh, no, you don't do that to me. Why? No, I beg you. No, why? Oh, no. And then he grabbed me and threw me down on his bed. Mama! Next day, the tall soldier locked me up in his shack. I'm sure if he knew that I'm Jewish, he would have shot me right in that bed. No, in the afternoon he comes back. First he has to go. That's all I needed. Quick out of the door, and I ran. I come to a square with a lot of women, Christian women. But you could see, that's the scum of Warsaw. And I got in line with them, just like that. Where are we going? Forced labor, Germany or Austria? Austria. That's where I wanted to go. Mama, Tate, grandfather, all of them, Austrian, Hungary, monarchists. I still remember that from my mama. So they stuck us in freight cars and off Katowice, Opava, Moravska, Ostrava, Vienna station. But I couldn't stay in Vienna. They assigned me to a farmer in Lower Austria, and he was very rich, and he chased me from one dirty work to the next. When I was digging up potatoes on the field and got soaked from the rain, he didn't let me put on dry clothes. He yelled, "Du polnisches Schwein!" And he chased me to the next field to cut feed for the cows with a sickle, and this ice cold wind blew through me so hard, so I got sick on this arthritis, and back home I was a pampered child. In winter I had galoshes and a little muff and a fur collar, and now all of a sudden I'm in a hospital with fever over 100 degrees. Oh, then inside of me I started crying, no, I don't want to die with a name not my own. They will put a cross over me with the name Josefa Dombrowska, but I am Yiddish. Oh, Gott der Gerechte, I'm so sorry what I've done. I'm so sorry. Oh, Gott der Gerechte. Why couldn't I perish together with my kid? Yeah, children. The performance is going to take place. Wait a bit, huh? But when you are young, you live through a lot of things. After a while I felt better again. It was a good hospital, plenty of medicine. All of a sudden comes up to me such an old nun. You are feeling better today, aren't you? You don't like to attend Mass? Or you don't believe in our Lord Jesus Christ? I don't feel quite well yet. No, next Sunday she is back again. Today you look especially better. Today you have to attend Mass. I think to myself, what's the fuss? You have a prayer book, you have a rosary, go there. But what I saw in this hospital chapel really stunned me. There was this old man lying down, face at the altar, lost in his
prayers, and after every Kyrie, he gave himself a klop on his chest, because it was a very, very Orthodox Christian. And this old nun goes to him and like this, she grabbed him like a dog and throw him out of the chapel. Aha, I hear, that's the kind things I hear. I hear you can people throw out of chapels when they have a deep heart-to-heart talk with Almighty God, and there were always church bells, always church bells. Confess, confess your sins, or you don't believe in our Lord Jesus Christ. I said to the farmer, I can't work on the fields, I'm too weak. Halt die Goschen, du polnische Sau! Oh, the Russians are already in Vienna. Yeah, they start shooting. Oh, I know that. I'm sensitive. I catch things in the air, pick them up, so to say. Oh, Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Soldiers, dead German soldiers are lying everywhere on the streets. Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Get rid of the foreigners, all foreigners, back to where they came from. The Poles to Poland, the Russians to Russia, all foreigners back home, back in their countries. Yeah, back my country, my home. Yeah. Where is my country? Where is my home, Mama? Daughter, and here's a bottle. I'm the twig which is broken. Oh. Yeah, children, we are about to begin. And the twig raised her arms toward heaven with a cry of despair. The voice of God spoke, "Be not afraid. You must go your way in this life to the very end." And to her great joy, the twig lived to see that her lineage became independent in their own land. The desert flourished and brought forth fruit. This land was a miracle. And then the twig set forth upon her way, full of confidence, and thanked Almighty God for his great goodness.